I had the most interesting experience happen to me on Sunday when I was doing my energy healing course. Now, it was entry level, level 1, and I've made it a goal of mine to really learn to tune into energy. And the key thing here that I came away with is just because you can't feel it or see it doesn't mean it's not there. And this kind of translates into many different avenues in your life. I'm a firm believer that our words are incredibly powerful, and the intention, the underlying reason behind what you say and how you say it can actually create a ripple effect in your life, not only for yourself but for others. And this can extend to if you say something off the cuff to someone where you may not intend that it's negative, but they may misinterpret it in that way, and that may set them on a whole nother course. I know that someone has said a comment to me and they may not have meant harm by it, but it has completely rocked my inner world. And that's why I am making more of a point to be more intentional and mindful and aware of what I say and how I say it when I'm interacting with people, when I'm speaking about others, just being more intentional with the things that I do. Hence this video. The important lesson that I learned at my energy healing course. It was a Reiki 1 course. It was a full day. It was just myself, another woman, and our instructor, who is a Reiki master, and she has been doing this for many, many decades. She was a wealth of knowledge, and I'll tell you briefly about her. She was in a major car accident. She was working as a pharmacist, and she was in a major car accident which made her catatonic. One of her friends, distant friends, found out about it and decided to come and visit her at her home and just, with her permission, perform an energy healing on her. And she was at this point where she wasn't really speaking, she was just not in a good state, and she was open to whatever happened. I don't know how long the woman worked on her, but it would have been between 30 minutes to an hour, and she just felt this incredible wave of energy just move through her. And all of a sudden she was up, out, she was walking, she started eating again. And she said to her, "What the heck did you do to me?" And she said, "I just performed Reiki on you." And that just completely opened up her world to that. It's basically her story of why she does what she does, and she's had an incredible career. She's about 70 plus years old now, looking to retire. She has said it's been one of the most incredible, rewarding, tumultuous careers of her life, and I felt very privileged to be in her presence and have her as my teacher because she has such a wealth of knowledge. Part of the class was just learning about the principles of Reiki, what the energy is, and basically what I've learned is that we are conduits, so that we attune ourselves to the universal energy, and that's what her role was, is to take us through not one but 2 attunements on that day, 1 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon, to learn how to connect to the energy. It all comes down to your intention. Not going to work if you're thinking about making dinner tonight. It is all about placing your focus on the person that you're working on when you are allowing the energy to move through. And if this channel is distorted, it's not going to receive the energy and give the energy clearer unless your focus is there and your intention is pure. That was one thing I learned. The other important key takeaway is I did ask, do you know how long you meant to stay in one spot for? So for example, you either are hands-on or hands-off. How do you know when it's time to move on? She goes, the energy is intelligent. It knows where to go, and you will know purely just by tuning into sensations when it's time to move from a spot. And she said that you may be in a spot for longer than another. So I might spend more time on here than I will here. And she goes, you'll know the difference by the way it feels to a certain extent. That's why it's very important to do a practice, because the better you get at it and the more you do it, the better you can discern. We come to the afternoon segment, and this point she gives you your next attunement. You get taken to an isolated room and she does this ritual and you go through your attunement, your eyes are closed. It's a very interesting experience. And then once you've been attuned, you go and wash your hands up to your elbows, and then you go and do Reiki on your classmate. And this is where I found it really interesting, and this is the whole point of this video. I got my attunement, I washed my hands, I went into the room, you say your little prayer, opening yourself up to the universe and asking the universe to, and the Reiki masters and God, whoever you call upon, angels, what have you, to be with you and be present with this person. And then you go through the motions, and then you start working from the head down. That's the way we were taught. Some people go from the toes up. It really just comes down to what you feel is right for you. My classmate was on the bed and I started, and I couldn't really feel much, or I was second guessing myself. Now my intention there was just to focus on the feeling, and that's exactly what I did. I held my hands over her eyes and I was getting a little bit of sensation, but nothing to be like, wow, this is amazing. And to be honest, I didn't know whether or not I was doing it right or if she was receiving anything. But at the end of the session, that's when you talk to your classmate and go, this is what I felt. What did you pick up? As I was moving down her body, I could feel a slight difference in certain areas to others where there was a certain bit of activity. There were pockets where I felt very calm and very serene, and there were other pockets where I just felt like there was a little bit more electricity or a little bit of energy. And the way that I can discern this is, have you ever, and I know a lot of people use this as an example, but have you ever walked into a room after something has gone down? There's been an argument or a fight or just something not great has happened, and you walk into that room and the energy is very dense and heavy. When you're going through and moving down the body, you can feel pockets of when it's a lot more lighter, and then you can feel pockets when it's a lot more dense. And you'll know it purely by changing spaces. And that's kind of how I was picking up. I wasn't getting the famous heat coming through my hands or anything like that. I only just got slight tingles, and then sometimes I just felt very calm and serene. But what was happening to my body is it was swaying and it was moving. And I just felt like I had my hands in place and my head was going like this. And I was just like, I'll just go with it. When I got to the back of the head, all I felt was emotion. I just felt emotion, and I felt sadness, but it wasn't a negative sadness. It was just emotion. I made a mental note of that, and as I moved down her body, I put my hands on her heart. And something in me just said, you need to lift your hands up. And so I did. And the moment I did that, my hands started shaking. And I was just like, Eva, I don't know what this is, but I'm just going to go with it and I'm going to listen. And they were just shaking. Now I couldn't feel any energy. It was just, my body was just shaking. And I was just allowing it. I was letting it happen. As I said, I couldn't feel any heat or laser beams coming out of my hands, but I just felt shaking. So that's the way that my body was reacting to the energy. It wasn't until I got to a solar plexus that in my mind I was getting affirmations. I am confident, I can do this, I believe in myself. And these were things that were coming up for me. So it's like, mental note, make sure to let her know. And it was around the solar plexus where I felt a lot of activity was going down. And then as I moved down her body, it was a lot more calm and serene, and it felt grounded. So I just went with that. That's all it was. It was about just allowing to have whatever came up for me, came up for me. But I was still a little bit like in my head about, I'm not feeling the heat in my hands that I've experienced myself, or the tingles. And then I got down to the feet. And then as I put my hands on her feet, all I had was a vision of Dorothy the Tin Man, the Scarecrow and the Lion and Toto on the yellow brick road. And all I had in my head was, follow the yellow brick road, follow the yellow brick road. Mental note of that. It came to a close and I was just like, I have no idea if she felt anything. I said my closing prayer and then I said, how did it go? Do you want me to tell you what I came up with and then you tell me what you felt? And she said, you go first. So I explained to her where I experienced certain things and her face lit up. And I said, oh, over here I felt emotion. Now, apparently this part of the body in Reiki is your past lives. And I said, I just felt emotion. She said to me, the moment that I put my hands on the back of her neck, the saliva in her mouth increased and she started to feel really nauseous, to the point where it was so overwhelming that she was almost wanting to tap out. She wanted it to stop. So I felt that. All I felt was just emotion. And when I put my hands over her ears, again, didn't feel anything. But she said to me, all of a sudden, it was just ringing in the ears, like, yee! She said it was so loud, it was almost deafening. She said my hands were cold most of the way through, but all of these weird things were happening for her. The moral of the story is, even though I couldn't feel as I was moving down, I was just receiving information, I was getting visions in my head and my body was shaking, which I'll explain what that is, and I'll just park that here for now. She could feel something completely different. But she said when I got to her solar plexus, she goes, it was like a laser beam of heat was just radiating down. She said the more I moved down her body, down to her root chakra area, her thighs and whatnot, she said it was just this intense heat. What I've learned is that even if I couldn't feel it, and I could actually see it by the way that my body was shaking, it didn't mean that she wasn't receiving something from me. And that when she confirmed that this is what she experienced and this is what she felt when I was moving down her body, it was a complete contrast to what I was experiencing. You have to trust that if your intention is right and your heart is in what you're doing, that the message or the energy or what you're meant to be doing will be received. That's why you have to be so careful with what you say. And all I intended was I wanted to do the best job possible. I wanted her to receive what she needed to receive. And that brings it back to the energy is intelligent. It knows where to go. You just have to get out of the way and just be the conduit, the vehicle in which it comes through. We're like little transmitters. And when we open ourselves up to the universe with good intention, it will utilize you to the best of its ability, whether it's speaking to someone, whether it's through your art, whether it's through your writing. Everything that comes from you is incredibly powerful. That's why you have to be so careful with what you do. And that's why authenticity and being truthful and real is the highest vibration. Because if you are being authentic not only with yourself, but authentic with the outside world, that will have an incredible 10x effect on everything around you. That being said, the shaking, what I've come to learn is when you go to, and I don't know if you've experienced this, and I did say it in another video, but I'll say it again here. I don't know about you, but when I first got into my healing journey and got more serious into my meditation, I noticed my body would shake. Or if I went to go and see a healer, I would hear them burp and belch and cough and exhale and like blow things out. And I was like, what is going on? And what happens is what they're doing is they're needing to release the energy, because energy can't be destroyed. So they're acting as the vehicle, the in-between man, to take away that stagnant energy, that blocked energy, and they need to release it. And one of the most famous visual examples of this is in the movie The Green Mile. Now, if you haven't seen the movie, avert your ears and eyes for a hot minute. But there is an African American man in there that gets sentenced to jail for killing these two girls. But a beautiful exchange happens between this guy and the guards where they are challenged, their beliefs are challenged, because miracles happen. And this man has the ability to transmute pain, take away pain, and often can re-aliven something that's dead within a certain time frame. And he takes that energy, he acts as a conduit, and he releases the stagnant, negative, blocked energy through his mouth in the form of little tiny flies. It's quite an incredible film, but that is what an energy healer does, and shamans and all of that, is they take your negative energy away and then they purge it. And sometimes they might get sick, they might vomit, they may spit, they may burp, they may belch. And what I learned in my energy healing course is the way that I release energy is my body tremors, my body shakes. And that is because the energy is coming up and moving through and out me, and that is how I release energy. Also was taking a lot of deep breaths and exhales out, but I'm not mad about it. I would rather have that happen than burp and vomit and all of that. But yes, the energy needs to go somewhere, and that's what I was experiencing. So even though I didn't feel the heat in my hands, my partner did, but I was releasing the energy that her body, her etheric field, her energetic field was giving me, and that was my way of transmuting it. Yeah, that's the lesson that I learned. And the reason my teacher said to me, energy is intelligent, it knows where to go, it knows what to do, but you just need to be pure with your intention behind what you're doing. Yeah, so this is my journey. I'm on day 4 of the 21 healing journey, where I have to work on doing Reiki on myself every single day for the next 21 days. It's very symbolic of the original master's journey, and we'll see where that takes us. But thank you so much for watching, and if you have any questions, comment below. Bye.